ladies and gentlemen. I'm Bruce Campbell.
And I'm David Goodman.
We are here today to review the Board of Paying. And what this represents is the history of getting the money together for Man with the Screaming Brain.
The lineage.
Yes. We have the 80s, the 90s, and beyond. So we're going to kind of trace the lineage here of how we managed to get the money for Man with the Screaming Brain, or rather how we didn't manage to get it, I guess you could say.
I agree. We
start with the 80s here, because in the 80s is where the original idea came about, was given to David. You want to explain how that all came about?
I was in North Carolina making a film, and I was in a rowboat, and it was suggested to me that I should do this idea called Man with the Screaming Brain.
So you're given this kernel of an idea. The idea was then taken, and we worked together, adapted it into a screenplay, and we thought, well, the first Evil Dead raised money from doctors and lawyers and dentists in Detroit.
Right.
Well, doggone it,
we were going to do
the same thing. So we thought, let's put together a limited partnership. It's where a lawyer spells out everything about how much we want to get from each investor, how much they own of the movie, what the risk factors are, when they're going to get their money back, tax aspects, everything. We spent probably 3 months in Detroit shopping this, sending out letters to investors, cold calling. We were calling people, anyone who we thought had money.
Yeah.
And I'd say that we failed pretty horribly.
Yes, it was horrifying.
And I'll give you an example why. Because, you know, we think in Hollywood that Hollywood is the only place with freaks, weirdos, and idiots. They're actually across the entire country. So we had a meeting with a guy that we later called Jabba the Hutt. This was a guy who, over the phone, presented himself as a venture capitalist. That he could get his hands on any kind of money, whatever. Just come to my office in Ann Arbor, Michigan.
Right, so we drive from Detroit, which is an hour-and-a-half drive, up to Ann Arbor.
It's above a pizza parlor.
We go in, we meet the guy.
Well, first of all, it was a Fellini situation.
Yeah, it was
right
sort of
from the beginning.
yeah.
Wasn't there a little person in his office?
Yeah, he was, yeah.
He had a little person in his office, and this guy was Jabba the Hutt. He was 900 pounds. I mean, he had to have been 400 pounds. And he started to give us this crap. I can get John Travolta in this. How would you like John Travolta in it? Well, we don't need John Travolta because I'm going to be in it, and we don't need much. It's a low-budget movie. I'll get John Travolta. So finally, we got pissed and said, yeah, get him on the phone.
Yeah, Bruce called his bluff.
Get him on the phone, because we knew within about 5 minutes there, this guy wasn't going to give us a penny.
Right.
Another instance where we were almost killed raising money.
This was terrifying.
All right, let's set the scene here.
He was a friend of a friend, and someone said, call this guy. So I called him up, set up a meeting. He had a scrap
He's a scrap metal king.
Yeah, he was a millionaire, and he was in the worst part of Detroit. We pull in there, and there's a guard that you think is really like a troglodyte. And I remember him.
Well, first of all, he's armed. He has a gun, this guy.
Right.
The guard goes to the driver's side.
Right.
Starts getting in his face of, what are you doing here? What do you want? I go to get a business card.
Right.
I'll just give him a business card. I open the card, and I open our briefcase on my lap.
And
I was doing it quick because this guy seemed agitated. Goodman, out of his eye, can see the guy reach for his gun and pull it out because he thought I was going to pull out a gun and like shoot him or rob the place. Goodman goes, Bruce, stop moving.
Yeah,
don't. I'm like, shut up, I'm just getting my business card. No, don't. And I look over and I see this crazy guy with a gun and went, I just want to give you a business card.
You're right.
Then it all sort of diffused.
Until we got up and to meet the guy.
Until we actually got to meet this asshole.
He was a scumbag.
So we get up there. We poke our head and he's reaming out one of his brokers or something.
Right.
He looks up at us, he goes, what are you, rude? We're like, well, I think you're the rude guy. So he kicked us out of there. Like, get out of here, I'm making a phone call.
Right.
Finish the phone call. Finally, a secretary appears. Hi, we're here for a meeting. Oh, okay, sit down. We finally go in and meet to this guy. Every time we meet with an investor, you got to pitch it.
Right.
You got to say, we're raising this much money. In Detroit, we wanted $875,000.
Right.
So we started pitching the story. He goes, stop.
Right.
Wait. He gets everyone from the office. Come in here. Tell them the story.
Right.
So we bring them in. We're talking now secretaries and guys at loading docks. We start to tell the story, and then he stands up and goes, you're not telling it to them. You're telling it to me. Well, asshole, didn't you
got really bad.
You brought all these guys in, and he kept interrupting to take phone calls.
Right. I mean, it was really nuts.
So now we go, let's stop trying individuals. They're too hard. It's too different.
Right.
Let's go to a venture capital group. These are they're used to having guys come in and pitch their crazy ideas. And what it is, normally you'll get a hotel and we'll have a ballroom
Might be like Radisson.
sponsored by the venture capital group where you put investors together with ideas.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Right.
We'll go pitch it there. Well, before we got to go up, there was a Yahoo filmmaker stands up. He's one of the first guys chosen.
Right.
Stands up and goes, I'm going to make a film for $1,000 that's going to make $100 million. And David and I looked at each other at that point. We went, we're completely screwed.
He just killed us.
He just killed any movie pitch
Yeah.
for the next 7 years. So we crossed those guys off. So we went, all right, this ain't going to work.
Detroit's done.
I got divorced. I get kicked out of my house
Yeah,
because
right.
she's like, what are you
Sleeping on my floor.
sleeping on your floor? Why are you spending 3 months trying to raise money for this stupid movie that you're going to never get the money for? Get out of here, you loser.
Right.
So I get divorced. So it's like, okay, Goodman, let's try Hollywood. One of the first ones was Sony, and I'll read a little example here. This new film, a horror science fiction thriller, is targeted at the young, predominantly male audience, age 16 to 24. We think the science fiction elements of the film will also attract additional viewers up to age 35. We had no idea what we were talking about. Then we moved on, and we don't have a connection to each of these studios, but it just gives you an idea of the pitches that we made. We should clarify something. We don't have any letters to show you of them saying, no, we don't want to do your movie, because in Hollywood what it is, if they want to do your movie, you'll hear from them. If they don't want to do your movie, they just simply stop calling you back.
They fade away.
So we continued on, strange companies like ITC, New Horizons, Jerry Weintraub, and you keep running into companies that are no longer there. You have Scurus, Image, Film Trust, Cinevest. Then there's Lawrence Bender, the producer. I don't know. Nothing happened there. Then the movie went to sleep.
Right.
Now, I did a movie financed by Fangoria, the magazine, called Mind Warp. They decided to get into the movie business. Well, they seemed to want to gear up again and do something else. We went, well, it's perfect. I did a movie for them. They make movies. Let's just simply pitch that to them.
It was a waste of a year and a half of our
It was a waste
lives.
of a year and a half of our lives. We now get a little more serious with a company called IRS. And we did a rewrite. We rewrote the whole
And the script had gone through a change here. One of the because they could sell the Asian markets, we had to make a major change.
Well, here's what happened, though. Everyone's concerned about political correctness. The original story was set in East LA, where you have an uptight white banker who gets part of a Latino street hustler's brain put in his. Well, these guys were very nervous. They went, you're making fun of minorities. We went, no, it's just the story they were picking. No, if we make the bad girl Chinese, then they're a majority.
Right.
Because there's more Chinese than white people. You can make fun of Chinese.
And they had a lead to Tia Carrera.
Yeah, they had one.
So we had a meeting with
Tia Carrera.
Right.
Woo-hoo-hoo! They're getting more serious now because they're starting to combine now with a company called Transatlantic. So they did this sort of ad. We had makeup done. We took some special photographs. They came up with a logo and all this. Then it gets even more ridiculous because now they're announcing it in the trades. Budgeted at about $3 million. So now our budget magically went from $875,000 up to $3 million.
We're still making the movie for $875.
Scheduled to go into production in March. This is from 1993. Okay. And it described as a modern-day Frankenstein, blah, 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 blah. So it was all a crock of shit, basically. And it fell apart for a number of depressing reasons. So then we move on. I went to Sitges, Spain to promote Lunatics or some silly movie. Met a guy over there who goes, oh man, I'd love to find some of your movies. Why don't you give me a call? I went, this guy's perfect. I'll send a letter to him.
Right.
That's tumbleweed.
Yeah, kept the tumbleweed.
Okay, we have some Z's in between.
More Z's.
But now who's the logical guy to go to?
Roger
Corman, man who's made 900,000 movies, man with a screaming brain, Roger Corman.
It's a natural.
The glove fits better than the OJ glove, okay?